Okay, so today we have a vampire counts and high elf focus starting against Pest, playing as the greenskins. And for us, we are playing the vampire counts. This is a matchup that I've been trying to work on for a while. So we're going to see if we finally figured it out. Made some changes to my build, and hopefully those changes pay off. Now, for our build, it's mostly cavalry, double black coach for wide armies, and a dragon lord, blood dragon lord, to cycle charge single entities. For our opponent's army, he has just a couple archers and a pretty heavy focus on greenskin on big guns. Looks like he's wheeling around to try and get to my flank, probably just avoiding my cavalry here. So we can just we can rotate our armies around, which should also buy us time to get some cycle charges in. But I will have to be careful that I am controlling my units correctly, especially my chariots. Have to be careful there. See here, some spider riders. We can go ahead and deal with those guys. There are some night goblins in here too, and some cycle charges there should do good. We're okay sort of continuing to pivot here, since we are able to get in all of these charges. And if we can just get these night goblins below their HP threshold, it means that fanatics will be much less of a problem. We're going to try to charge it now, and hopefully we can break that HP threshold. We don't want to group up too much because of the mentioned fanatic threat. And it's just going to be continuous cycle charging here, patching out trolls where we can. We also have to be careful that that Grom doesn't trade into our chariot too well here. Night goblins are stacking up on top of some of my knights here, which means that we are taking a little bit more damage than we would want to. Ooh, and a big fanatic bomb comes in. But we do have Grom surrounded now, and I think this might just win the game for us. It actually gets a little bit too overextended, and a quick surround on him should kill him. Now, if I could only click his banner, there we go. A little bit stealth there. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but nice. That's actually a very, very good start to the game, and that may already be doomed for the greenskins here. Our trolls are chasing after my black coach, and we're going to go ahead and hit it with some cavalry. Some spider riders do come in to try and support, but they'll be taking a charge too. And to really just maximize our value here, just playing extremely patiently, should be able to do the job. We are taking hits from archers, but their damage is low enough where we can just focus on our cavalry charging, and I think we'll be good. Man, that Grom pick though was indeed big enough where our opponent just taps out right then and there. And yeah, I think he would have had a pretty hard time after the leadership was dead. A lot of his troops were about to rout, and we could have just continued to cycle charge there. Trying to move down the flank was an interesting choice, but I don't think it really paid off in the end, since we were able to cycle charge. He did make a little bit of value on the black coach, but we all know this was the big misplay. So this the second game in this best of 3 going to be Skaven versus Empire. We've brought our favorite combo, the Packmaster and Warlord, for their extreme mobility. They'll be able to really run over any cavalry here decently well, as long as they don't get as long as they aren't getting shot, essentially. So we're going to split them up so that they can get out of line of the cannons, reducing the number of good targets the cannons have. And then I guess we'll just focus on trying to flank here. Looks like some of these archers are a little bit out of position, so instead of diving into the forest to fight cavalry, we're going to be trying to shut down these archers. As for my caster, he doesn't really have a use for Howling Warpgale, but we do have our second more expensive spell that we can use to hopefully get in some pretty good damage. So once he's, I guess we'll be saving Crack's Call specifically for artillery, and then that should be good. We want to leave some spears in reserve, just to, yeah, we want to leave spears in reserve, because I know that there's cavalry here in the woods that we'll have to worry about. So we'll just be very wary of that. Meanwhile, Volkmar can just, he can eat rattling gunfire. And that should put in decent damage. It looks like he's still tanking it out pretty well. But our frontline engagements seem to be going pretty good. And we're going to be focusing on that to try and win the game here. If we can shut down the artillery without losing our lords, that would be the optimal situation. Crack's Call does go down, but my opponent does see it, disengages with his cavalry, negates most of the value there. And things could get a little bit dicey. Let's see, I'm not sure where my lord is. He's getting shut down by a manticore, so we're going to disengage with him. And our Skaven slaves along the flank seem to be doing quite well. Their goal is just to chase off artillery and just chase off as many troops as they can. And yeah, if they can just occupy a unit of cavalry, then I think they're essentially doing the job if that's the case. I've also been ignoring that Volkmar has been just taking endless rattling gunfire for the past minute or so now. And that is going to be pretty big. If we can take him down, that'll be great. Especially because our front line is collapsing pretty hard, despite the success of shutting down Volkmar here. The infantry is also moving up, and they're going to be they're looking to shut down my rattling guns, especially with cavalry in the back now. That's not the best situation. Volkmar 2, still surviving, is not great, and wow, it looks like our front line has fully collapsed. But we are able to jump on Volkmar. We're going to throw down a bunch of buffs on our 2 brood horrors, and we're going to try and snipe them out. This is more of a Hail Mary play than anything else, because I do think we are falling more and more behind, especially with those massive losses on our front line. And we're going to have to see if we can take him out. He has his regeneration, and more importantly, he has a bunch of archer fire backing him up. I do wish that we had some sort of what's it? The hope is that we would have some sort of infantry here in the back line to shut down the artillery, to shut down the archers. But it doesn't look like it. Our troops do rout, and it's gonna be GG. So I think let's see. I was expecting the rattling guns to do better there. They did pay off for themselves in the damage that they did to Volkmar, but I would have expected them to kill him. Maybe I should have moved them up slightly, and then they would have done better. Our lords too were having a hard time in the back line, especially facing double manticore summons. And I'm not sure. Maybe they should have just focused on routing the front line. Or I could have just taken more infantry. I'm not sure. I remember my attention was diverted from the center line, and then it started collapsing. So I'll have to pay more attention to that next time. Quite a bit. And for this next game, final game, it's going to be Tomb Kings versus the High Elves, with us playing as the High Elves, going for an insane 10 archer build with mass armor debuffs and nets from Turin. Immediately, we're seeing a Tomb Scorpion, which is great for us. It means that we have a target to snipe. For our front line, it's Silverin, and they're just holding the line against stuff like chariots and so on. Because, yeah, chariots are definitely a little bit threatening with their... What's it? Yeah, chariots are pretty threatening, and we really wouldn't want to deal with that. So, yeah, the hope is that we won't have to. And it looks like we might actually be able to get a solid initial pick here. So, we're going to throw down a net on the Tomb Scorpion. Then debuff its armor, focus fire it with about 5 of our archers here. And then they should be able to melt it down. Now our front line is going to have to be occupied with, is going to have to occupy all of this infantry. And, oh wow, it looks like the Tomb Scorpion actually lived. A miracle. But yeah, our front line is going to have to hold the infantry front, because our archers really need to be focusing these the cavalry and the Necropolis Knights and so on. So hopefully we can do well there. It looks like our silver and some of them will manage to block multiple troops at once, which helps a lot. And we can also sacrifice our cavalry too to try and stop this right flank. We're using Fiery Convocation to win some of the frontline fighting so that we can pull back the Silverin. And then once the Silverin come back to defend, we should be good. We also are waiting on this Plague of Rust throw down onto these Necropolis Knights. But they're actually taking so much damage, I think we can save the Plague of Rust for later. And instead we'll be netting down this right flank instead. Our caster is getting gooned out though by Cetra, by the looks of it. So we'll punish him by throwing down a net, turning all of our archers this time, and then just shoot him to death. He has basically no armor at that point, and there's not much he can do. So nice, there we go. Oh my gosh, this build is gross. This build is so gross. So wow, that was less than 3 minutes. Oh man, poor Cetra. Jeez. So yeah, it's obviously a very punishing combo. It's a lot in the line of Vampire Coast, where if your opponent makes a misplay, you can punish it severely. And honestly, that's all that happened. We netted the Scorpion, we netted Cetra, and then we sniped them out. Oh my gosh, that was brutal. Alright. So for our last game before the tournament, we're just fitting in a quick battle. And we're up against the Chaos, playing as High Elves using a similar build to last time. Looks like they've opted for double Hell Cannon. And a front line of Chaos Warriors to hold down the fort, while cavalry can pressure in along the sides. So, although pretty scary, we do have a forest here that we can use to cover our advance. Alternatively, there aren't too many alternatives. It's mostly, yes, we do have this forest here. Now the forest is pretty useful, but we don't really want to take an engagement in there. Although against Chaos Knights and a couple Hounds, I think we can win a melee fight if it does come down to it. Problem is though, I don't think all of our forces can actually fit inside the forest. And the positioning and how it makes it really awkward is probably a little bit too much for me. So instead, we're going to opt for simply just advancing along the straight path towards Chaos Forces, and then we'll begin firing in. We don't have any tools to take out the Hell Cannons early, but we can negate some of their damage. So as it comes in, we can try to spread out our troops a bit. A little bit of a failed attempt here on the left side, but thankfully the Hell Cannon does hit a tree, and that actually negates most of the damage. They also are decently inaccurate, and we've been blessed with taking pretty little damage so far. As I say that, my spearmen do take a pretty nasty hit. The ammo is magical though, which means that these Silverin will be taking a little bit less damage than your usual infantry. It's not especially important that my Silverin engage at high HP anyways though, and that's because the Chaos frontline isn't especially scary. It's just Chaos Warriors really, so we should be good. Much more worrying instead is the Chaos mobility, the cavalry, the hounds, and we really gotta make sure that those don't run us over. So the initial engagement has begun. Some hounds are looking to rush into pressure, but we have our archers at the ready to fire in on them. And I think those hounds are likely gonna go down. Let's see here, some getting charged by cavalry, the others getting shot by archers. Is great for us. And yeah, that is one of the major threats now off the field. So next up, we have these Chaos Warriors. And I think if we can throw down a net here, that would actually do us pretty good. I'm going to throw down a fiery convocation on top of them. And we're doing this because we're not especially worried about these Chaos Knights doing too much damage. That fiery convocation does go down, and nice, it tears through those Chaos Warriors quite well, which will buy us a little bit more space to advance now. Let's see, we'll advance this right flank since our archers don't have many targets. We can push up with some of the Lothern Sea Guard in the back too. Chaos Knights are moving in, but we have spears to engage on top of them. And no ordinary spears either. It's going to be our unit of Silverin, who will very happily take a fight against Chaos Knights. Now, we can also, as you just saw, we can throw down a Plague of Rust here too. And that's going to reduce the armor of these warriors down to 40. And while they retreat, we're firing into the backs of them and getting in really nice damage, which should be able to take them out. At this point, Chaos Forces are getting whittled down rather well. But balance of power, surprisingly enough, doesn't favor me. And it looks like a little bit of a bigger engagement is coming in now. Sigvald and a Chaos Sorcerer are coming in. And I'm seeing if I can get some winds of magic here to pin them down. Chaos Sorcerer has engaged. Come on. Let's see here. Yep. So we're going to throw down a net. Disengage there and see if we can snipe them out. Our cavalry is going to be looping around the back to try and shut down these hell cannons. And then we should be okay. I'm not entirely sure. But surely picking off this sorcerer will make a rather big impact. So let's see here. He's on death's bed now, at pretty low HP. And if we can sneak into the backs of these hell cannons, even if we have to sacrifice some Illyrian Reavers, I think that's going to be worth it. So we're just going to suicide charge them in. And with the Chaos Sorcerer out of the game, we should be able to do pretty well here. The Chaos lacking Winds of Magic should be nice. Chaos Knights are moving in though, so we're going to Plague of Rust them. And hopefully our archers will be able to take them out. We have a lot of Lothern Sea Guard here, so they don't have many prime targets to hit. And they'll be getting shot at from all sides. So that plus a Plague of Rust, which lasts a surprisingly long amount of time, 30 seconds. Even if these guys do bounce around, they'll be getting caught up on Lothern Sea Guard, and it's not an optimal situation for them. Our frontline fight can be assisted with a fiery convocation too. And with the Hell Cannon shut down, it buys us a lot of space for our archers to get in a lot of damage. The second fiery convocation goes down. It hits a ton of Chaos Warriors, and this is very important for keeping our Silverin alive. You can see we can pull them back to defend the back line, or we can bring them Well, yeah, essentially that. We're freeing them up to defend the backline. And by winning the infantry fight, we secure a pretty nice lead. It's just a couple Chaos Warriors at this point, and most of them are routing. So the next plan is to take out these Hell Cannons, and the Soul of Damnation is going to be the priority target here. It is a what's it? It's very dangerous. You can see here it already has almost paid for itself. And if we can take it out, most of our archers should be pretty safe. Our cavalry is going to be dealing with these Chaos Warriors so that we can really focus on the more important targets. The Chaos Warriors would be able to distract my my Sea Guard and so on. And as soon as we take out the artillery, we should be good. The major threats after that really are just these Chaos Knights. And basically just the Chaos Knights and Sigvald. Sigvald, of course, is still pretty threatening, and we'll have to see if we'll have to see if Sigvald is able to carry it here. If we do run out of a ton of our archers, Sigvald can duel both of our lords here. We don't have very nice cycle charging potential. But we do have a lot of spearmen, and if we can maintain a lot of archers in the late game, we can simply throw a net on top of them and snipe them out. So that's the plan. It looks like our Plague of Rust play has paid off massively here, with the Chaos Knights getting killed off a lot faster than I expected. And the infantry of Chaos too, at this point, is all but gone. Poor Sigvald too is also on the verge of army losses, which means I think we've secured ourselves another victory. So thankfully we had enough forces remaining where we didn't have to worry about dueling Sigvald. Oh, there is still the Hell Cannon crew left, but we'll be able to take them out. And that should be GG. A little bit dicey with all of that artillery going around, but after some of our archers rallied, we managed to pull through with all the damage. And get a win. Yeah, the Hell Cannons dying was a big shift for us. They did actually get in a lot of damage, but just advancing and firing away is all we needed to do. The Chaos Warriors were quite hard to take down though, but those fiery convocations from Teclis definitely helped a lot. Of course, sniping out the Sorcerer was nice, but that did feel a little bit dicey. The Chaos build, though, is a little bit uncommon, and I think if we were to face a monster build, we would be able to win out a lot better. See, our cavalry did well. Our archers, they only did okay. They were actually getting battered pretty hard the whole game.